name's Harry Robinson. I sent a letter a couple days back.
Okay.
I'm basically doing a project on the WMSCOG Society Church of God, and I was wondering if I'd be able to speak to anyone, I guess.
Unfortunately not at the moment. Sorry.
Is there any reason why?
Because we're just busy doing some stuff, that's why.
This project is going ahead regardless. I don't want to leave on an open-ended note, I guess, for the church. Yeah. Would you mind me kind of, I guess, rattling off some of the stuff that was said?
It's okay. It's okay.
Forgive me, but kind of silence in that regard. Surely that's something that you would want to...
No, it just means that I have nothing to say on it.
Are you sure? I'm Harry Robinson, and I'm taking on Goliath, armed only with a camera and the intimate stories told by survivors. The Goliath in question, the World Mission Society Church of God, a controversial religious group that believes that a woman living in South Korea is God on earth and has been accused of using manipulation to indoctrinate and extort members. This is not a documentary with unprecedented access that fetishises cult-like behaviour.
Heavenly Mother, our commander!
This is much more than that. But who actually are the World Mission Society Church of God?
The World Mission Society Church of God is a destructive cult.
So the hierarchy of the World Mission Society Church of God, we'll just say at WMSCOG, they basically believe in a female God and a man God.
The very, very top is Jeong-gil-ja, who they say is God the Mother.
We would see pictures of her. We would cry. We would get these emotions, like so much love. We genuinely believed that she was God.
She is very interested in money, and she has built a financial empire mimicking the godfather of Korean cults, Reverend Sun Myung Moon.
During the Korean War, many Christian cults began to rise in Korea because in those war period, mainline churches didn't meet the expectation of the people who are suffered by the war, natural disaster, so on and so forth. So it is an easier situation for people to choose the cult instead of the mainline churches.
What we're talking about here is narcissistic psychopaths who lack empathy for people who have this overwhelming desire to control the people around them.
They do, pray in services about mother's wishes. They sing hymns to her.
It's my opinion that Jeong-gil-ja is a sociopath.
What happened in history of the church is after An Sang-hang died, Joo Shil-kim and Jeong-gil-ja assumed authority in the church.
When I met him, I felt he's very arrogant. He's the one that writes all the books now.
The church loves to say that we started in 1964. It's on all their websites, their literature. But in reality, they didn't start till 1985, till An Sang-hang was dead, till these two people seized power when there was a split in the church, and when An Sang-hang wasn't around anymore to say anything about it because he's gone.
I understand there to be 7 pastors underneath him. But then you have the other pastors. All the pastors are Korean.
Then you have deacons and deaconesses. At the lower end, you got the gospel workers and the regular believers.
They just call them brothers, sisters.
And the group has metastasized like a cancer around the world.
Interestingly, they focused on foreign people, the United States, Canada, Australia.
And it's just getting worse.
Hi, mate. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Could you talk me through, I guess, when you went to Korea and met Jeong-gil-ja? Talk me through, I guess, the process and the fanfare of meeting.
It is a fanfare thing. Before you go there, they're like, obviously that's God, just come down from heaven, the new Jerusalem. How we're all sitting, how it worked out in heaven, and how she's come down. And then you see her, and it is an emotional affair. I'm not going to lie to you. Now I look back, obviously I'm 31, I was 21 then. But it is an emotional affair. You couldn't believe you're oh my God, God's here now. I remember my friends asking him, does she fly? Like crazy questions. So yeah, went there, met her. You have to be careful what you say to her. You can't just go up and talk to her. She has to come and talk to you. The people will go up and ask her for stuff how to save my family. Can I become a pastor? Things of that nature.
When you think about Jeong-gil-ja now, or maybe the people at the top who, the general pastor, people who kind of know what's going on, how do you feel towards them?
Oh yeah, a lot of hate and resentment towards Uncle John. I remember she tried to call me a few years ago, thinking, who's that? Like, you know, a strange number. Then it was like for South Korea, and it was her, and I was like,
got called by God.
yeah. Yeah. That's how you look at it. But yeah. She told me like, oh, please come back. Like, I miss you. X, Y, and Z. Like, you come to Korea. Flew me out there. I went there with some more members, and she was explaining that it was the pastor's fault. She didn't know he was doing this and that. At the time, you're thinking, but oh God, you're supposed to know like everything. There's gonna be little things, but call to come back and please come back and forgive the pastor and come back to the church. X, Y, and Z. Nearly fell back into it, but fully gone by that time. To be honest with you, but they tried to roll out the red carpet for us. They did like everything. No one usually gets that much time with her, like what we got with her. Spent a lot of time with her, but it wasn't. Yeah, by that time we'd already gone.
I was afraid not to go to service. I was afraid not to go to Sabbath day. I was afraid not to go preaching.
Part of the control is making you think you're the problem.
Gaslighting of members.
I might not understand why this happened this way, but you know, I'll just continue to follow God's plan.
Making them feel that things that are orchestrated are somehow happening spontaneously.
When studies get proven incorrect, they go back and they either remove that section completely from the study and just don't talk about it, or they put the blame of the explanation on someone who's left.
It kind of gave them a free license to gaslight me all they wanted.
And that becomes a way of pulling them in deeper and deeper.
If you move the goalposts, what you're doing is you're creating instability. So if you're constantly changing the meaning of scriptures, if you're constantly changing the rules of the group, it makes people be in this state where they're constantly trying to work out, what am I going to have to do to survive? Am I going to get punished for this? Is there going to be retaliation or humiliation? And so it leaves people in a state of constantly trying to work on themselves, constantly trying to protect themselves. And it's not psychologically a healthy place to be in.
You know, they see you tired, you know, you have to pretend like you're not. You know, oh, I'm not tired. You know, anything that's happening in your life, if you're sick, oh yeah, you know, I didn't wear the right jacket, but they don't know that you were out on the streets in the rain preaching for 3 hours. I always was lying about my life because I didn't want them to know sort of the things that the rest of the world wouldn't understand unless they were in it.
They tell you each and every day that you're worthless, you're nothing, and they try to kill whatever character you have.
And they work people for proselytizing, for recruitment efforts. It can be withering and debilitating.
It was absolutely exhausting.
What the group basically seeks to do is control the time and monopolize its members' activities.
I was supporting myself. I was at the church, not including Saturdays, I would say at least 20 hours a week, and then plus the full day on Saturday. I was completely like a shell.
My boyfriend at the time, they convinced him that when I wanted to leave that I was possessed by the devil. And he became very mean and very rude toward me and became a completely different person. Like, he was not the man that I married anymore.
They said my sister was the devil and they expelled her from Zion. And I can't even find the words to describe to you how hard it was for her.
The church claims to have millions of members. I forget what number they're up to now, but only 144,000 of them are supposed to be the chosen ones that will not experience death. Everyone else will experience death and ascend later, but for people who are very afraid of death, I think that's a big draw.
I mean, I still believe the doctrine. I believed I was going to go to hell when I left, but I was like, if heaven is like this church, I can't do it. I'd rather go to hell.
Obedience to the word of God. That obedience is just following someone. Let us all follow God's will. What is sinful is of the devil. Is to obey the word. We must have an obedient faith to learn obedience.
When I went to the last few services and I listened, actually like really listened to what they were saying, he just kept like drilling in. It's like, if you believe, you just do. You don't ask questions. You just obey. And I'm thinking to myself, total mind control call. As I'm sitting there, I'm just like, oh my goodness, how didn't I hear this before?
As someone who would have had to go out and preach and stuff like that, were you kind of told to focus on specific people?
Yeah, you get told sometimes in the morning, like, you know, in the morning, school runs, get the mums, the single mums, I'd say, to literally point out, single mums, and then after like student accommodations, I would go out and preach a lot. I'd get a lot of people in there. Like they used to call me like a fruit machine. They call people like fruit. You had like competitions where like 3-4 days, 7 in a week, and yeah, I was good to be honest.
I think there's a common misconception and a myth that people actually join cult groups. I think it's more accurate to say they're recruited into them and targeted, and some people even use the term groomed.
I think I recruited 15-ish people. It's very hard to recruit people.
They're very fervent. They're one of the most aggressive groups out there you'll see.
We would preach to universities and we would pray on the first year because, you know, when you're first year, you're still very much lost. You're still trying to find yourself.
When you think of young people going to university or going through those kind of transition phases that are natural, as well as they are points of transition, universities are places where young people are going, I want to become a certain kind of adult. So they are just places for harvesting.
Attacking like the youth, going for young people and taking a lot of the youth it's not very nice.
Do you ever feel guilty for bringing people into the church?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. There's one other person that I know that I brought in, and she's not there anymore, but me bringing her in definitely changed the trajectory of her life. She was en route to do nursing school at the University of Washington, which is one of the top-rated nursing schools in the U.S. And she got recruited, and her parents found out and made her drop out of the university so that she could be away from us. And she had to end up going to community college after that. So I know that me bringing her in changed the trajectory of her life.
I've been told about a lot of allegations about the church.
Yeah.
Kind of encouraged abortions is one that's...
Oh, yeah. I had one while I was in there.
You had an abortion?
Yeah. It's frowned upon to be having babies while you're in there. You've got to be busy, like, preaching. There's no time. You shouldn't have time to be doing that. You should be tired from the gospel work. That's how we look at it.
How prevalent is abuse in the church in terms of mental manipulation and...
Very prevalent, 100% high in there. Like, there's a lot of, like, emotional abuse, mental abuse, like, 100%. There's a lot of it going on in there. They would beat you with, like, the words of the Bible. Every single sermon, every single worship, it would finish with, if you don't do this, you won't go kingdom of heaven.
Do you feel that you were abused looking back?
100%. Yeah. Many times, 100%. So, yeah. It's not very nice. Yeah, it's not very nice, to be honest with you.
When these religious charities have inflicted injury, they're allowed to just keep on going. Why are we allowing charities to get away with doing that?
I was in a very abusive arranged marriage. The church, of course, covered it up. I strongly felt that I would rather go to hell than be where I was. They said if I got pregnant, I needed to have an abortion. You need to make sure that you do not have a baby, because if you have a baby, you cannot be a gospel worker and you will lose your blessings. And I immediately panicked. As soon as I saw the positive test, I picked up my phone and I called Planned Parenthood and scheduled the abortion. The only thoughts in my mind were, I'm going to go to hell if I have this baby, and they will shame you. Looking back, I don't think I would have had that abortion if I had never been influenced by this cult.
It doesn't matter if it pains you or if it puts you in jeopardy, as long as the church is fine. I heard a story of one woman I knew from Cape Town, and she was suspended by the church. I asked why would she be suspended, and then I was told she confessed to another sister that she had HIV.
The loneliness and the pain in coming out of a cult is excruciating.
To some degree, they've ruined my life. It's like one day you wake up and your whole life is a lie.
Yeah, this the cult is very destructive.
I have nothing to say, so
Nothing to say
I'm just gonna go upstairs. But it's been nice to meet anyway.
Well, could I speak to anyone else? There was kind of
No,
people...
it's okay. We don't want to be interviewed. It's fine. But thank you anyway.
I really appreciate it, but I've been told kind of stuff about pastors stealing money I've been told stuff about kind of arranged marriages and people claiming that they've been abused by the church, and I want, if you've got a kind of comment to shoot that down.
I've used the cliche no comment.
No comment.
So, yeah, no comment.
Is there any? Are you sure there's no comment at all regarding those kind of allegations?
Indeed.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
I mean, would there be comments, I guess, if I speak to you at a later date?
It'd be the same. It'd be the same.
Could you tell me, I guess, why the line is?
Anyway, I've really got to go, Harry. It was nice to be here. I'll see you soon.
Are you sure? Is there anyone else who would like to, I guess, talk?
Oh, okay,
that's
so
all.
everyone said, yeah. Okay, see you soon.
Take care.
Nice to meet you.
All the best.
Bye.
The silence speaks volumes. I don't get if you are accused of abusing people, if you are accused of, you know, stealing money and arranged marriages and stuff like that. There wasn't even a flicker on his face, and I kind of think that if you outright deny those accusations, then you would just say. I don't know. Silence is deafening.
My intentions are to help people and spread awareness, right? I always said, like, it's 100% a person's choice if they want to stay in one religion or the other. It doesn't matter. But you should be allowed to hear both sides of the story and make your own informed decision. So that was what I set out to do, was show the other side of the story. People didn't know that the person they believed to be the second coming had kids and another wife. And they didn't know that the mother god had kids and was divorced and had a husband.
We were terrified to look and terrified to be tempted. You're scared to find something to make you doubt, so you don't want to look.
And so when we put that information out there, it was like, it shook a lot of people's quote unquote faith in the organization. When I left and, you know, the examining site started to kind of get traction online, they did a whole presentation about me in front of the congregation. Like, they put up my photo from, like, my Facebook profile.
And this site was like kryptonite for the church. Michelle became public enemy #1.
Yeah, so when I was first served with papers, we kind of always thought that that would happen, but until we saw it in black and white, it wasn't real. It was just so obvious how bogus it was. They basically said that all these things I said were defamatory. They said that I lied about things that I knew were true. And when you see that they're suing for $12 million, I'm like, I don't even have $1 million. What do you mean 12? Like, it was insane.
And it was so much of a problem that they sent this prominent pastor from Korea to the US to basically do like a couple days worth of seminars.
We would have days-long seminars about how to defeat all the things that were already on the examining site.
To explain away everything that was on that site, the court cases, everything.
They really, really did not like that I called them a cult.
They were saying that she's blaming the church for her own divorce and she's just a bitter ex-wife who wants to get even.
They wanted to intimidate anyone else who wanted to speak out. I think that was their intention from the beginning, was to make my life miserable if I didn't do what they wanted me to do.
It's a very personal thing, you know, like each of us so personally feels grateful to her so deeply. You know, I don't know that she can ever really fully understand that.
But free speech is not free, because it costs me a lot in resources, time, energy, just to defend myself against their wild accusations. I could have taken the website down and that would have been the end of it. Move on with my life. But I refused to do that. I wasn't going to let them intimidate me. And I was going to defend myself, and I was going to see it through the end.
I really respect Michelle, because when the going gets tough,
they had hacked into my internet accounts.
Michelle keeps going.
They tried to add my, at that point, ex-husband as a plaintiff along with the church. It was insane.
These people must be doing something right to attract so much negative response from the World Mission Society Church of God. That is that they want to muzzle these people and shut them down because they don't want the public to know what's going on.
I had to make a decision at that point whether or not I was going to sue them back for like malicious abuse of process, which is basically like filing a frivolous lawsuit against me. I decided to go forward with it because I felt like if I didn't, they would just come after me again the next time they wanted to harass me, or they would do it to someone else that spoke out about them.
There was a fear placed in us that we'd be sued for talking out, but Michelle Cologne, she paved the way for us to feel safe to have these kind of conversations.
I've gotten messages from people who've left because of the website.
Many people, as a result of this site, they left the church. And not just general members, like people with titles, like missionaries, deacons, deaconesses.
Messages from family members, like, thanks for having this information available. Otherwise, I wouldn't know what my child got into.
Obviously, it's the weight of the survivors and the people in the church that you bear on your shoulders. Do you feel that weight when you do the examining site work?
It's a lot of pressure, for sure. The times that I felt like I wanted to quit, I thought about those people, and I do feel responsible. I do feel a lot of pressure, but it's okay. Like I always said to myself, like if what I did was enough to get one person to leave, it's worth it. But it's been a lot more than that, thank goodness. So I'm grateful for that, even though it was really hard. It still is, obviously. Once this starts to get around that you're doing this, they might try to contact you to sort of like discourage you to go forward. And I don't know how they're going to do it, if they're going to have their lawyer call you to try to intimidate you or whatever it is. But they have, ways to try to silence people.
If it's all right with you, would I be able to put the interaction in Manchester on the examining site to get people to come forward?
Yeah. I mean, what are they going to do? It's fine.
Hello, my name's Harry Robinson and I'm a journalist in the UK, and I'm currently working on a project on the World Mission Society Church of God.
I think that they are scam artists.
From the very beginning of when you come in contact with them, they're gaslighting you in one way or another.
There's so much fear in this religion.
They took his mind, harming their members' families. I mean, it reaches out.
It feels like a betrayal and a violation because they play on your faith.
Zangil Jha, Jujul Kim, they are aware of what they're doing. Lives are being ruined.
I was very depressed for a while.
I think they're evil.
I would like them to go to jail.
And yeah, I just want to hear what you think and your feelings, and I want people's stories to be told. Thank you for your time.